the biggest scandals and cover-ups surrounding MGM studio during the golden age of Hollywood. MGM was the biggest and most successful major film studio that often reigned as the box office king throughout the 1930s. Led by movie mogul Louis B. Mayer, MGM created a successful star-making system, creating legends like Clark Gable, Jean Harlow, Judy Garland, Greta Garbo, William Powell, Robert Montgomery, Jenny Kelly, and the list goes on. At the height of the studio, MGM had 16 to 18 pictures shooting at the same time. This also meant that the studio fully controlled his stars, both on and off screen. Behind the scenes, however, the stars were living lives that were anything but glamorous, and it was down to the real-life fixer MGM's general manager Eddie Mannix to clean up their messes and keep it from going public. And to do that, MGM owned doctors, reporters, police force, and lawyers, who were often on the scene of a crime or a scandal before the Los Angeles police were even informed. Number 1. Clark Gable alleged murder cover-up. Mannix was a close friend to the megastar Clark Gable due to the number of times he got him out of trouble. In 1933, Gable was reported to have run over and killed actress Tosca Rullian, and it is alleged that Mannix paid MGM screenwriter John Huston to take the blame. Luckily, Huston was never charged due to the lack of evidence. Number 2. Loretta Young had to adopt her own child. The successful, beautiful, and Academy Award-winning actress Loretta Young had a secret to hide. In 1934, while shooting The Call of the Wild, the actor Clark Gable allegedly sexually assaulted his co-star Loretta Young and got her pregnant. To prevent the scandal and protect the then-married Gable's image, MGM's fixer Mannix helped Loretta to adopt her own daughter publicly before her second birthday. After she finished shooting The Call of the Wild in 1935, Young disappeared from view. When she returned to the public life 18 months later, she announced that she adopted a daughter named Julie, which was actually her own. Young refused to abort the child due to her strict Catholic religion, but with the help of the MGM's fixer Mannix, the secret was kept from everyone, including her daughter, for 31 years. The truth finally came out in a memoir published after Young's death. Number 3. Joan Crawford's pre-fame adult film. MGM's biggest star, Joan Crawford, was known to be ruthless in her pursuit of stardom, and that led to winning an Oscar, receiving 2 other Oscar nominations and several other awards. Her blind ambition also made her constantly surrounded by rumors and scandal, but nothing was more scandalous than the pornographic film Joan starred in at the beginning of her career. She is said to have starred in a film called Velvet Lips. Crawford's first husband, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., confirmed that she was blackmailed for it, even receiving threatening calls when they were on their honeymoon. Even her own brother was selling copies of the film to the biggest bidder. When a copy of the film was sent to the studio, the company's lawyer denied that the woman in the film was Crawford, and the work to bury the whole thing began. Mannix allegedly tracked down and destroyed every last copy, and paid $100,000 of the studio money to buy the original negative. Number 4. George Reeves' death, suicide or murder for hire. George Reeves was best known for his role in the 1950s hit TV series Adventures of Superman. He was found dead in 1959 at his home with a gunshot wound to the head. The official cause of death was suicide. However, there were rumors going around saying that Mannix allegedly ordered a hit on Reeves when he found out that the actor was having an affair with his wife Toni. This rumor was never confirmed or dismissed. This mystery surrounding Reeves' death made it to the big screen in 2006 film Hollywoodland, where Ben Affleck played Reeves. Number 5. Paul Bern's death mystery. In 1932, director Paul Bern married the studio's biggest star blonde bombshell, Jean Harlow. The catch was he was already married. He had a wife in New York. One night, Bern's neighbors heard a man and a woman arguing. They heard a sound of breaking glass and then a gunshot. Bern was found dead in his bathroom with a bullet through his head. Mannix arrived first and knew instantly what happened. Bern's first wife came to town. They met and ended up arguing, which led to her killing him. The scandal would have ruined the studio and the studio's gold star Jean Harlow, so with the help of the police, they staged the murder as a homicide. No one suspected or even questioned his ex-wife, who days later took her own life. Number 6. Patricia Douglas was raped. In 1937, Patricia Douglas was a wannabe star and one of the studio's young actresses. At 20 years old, she answered a casting call from the studio requesting her to show up for an audition at the studio lot on May 5th. When she arrived, she and several other girls were given a very short cowgirl outfits, boots, and a full makeup and hair makeover, and were promised a hot meal and payment of $7.5 for a day's work. Unknown to her, the audition was a party thrown by Goldwyn Mayer for MGM sales executives, and she was hired as a female element at a private party. The party lasted for days, and in that time around 120 young women were boozed into entertaining around 300 drunken executives at a remote ranch, with no means of transport or telephones. Douglas was a naive small-town girl, a virgin from Kansas City, Missouri, who had a big dream of making it big in Hollywood. The night sadly ended with Douglas allegedly being brutally raped. She refused to be bought off. She tried to take legal action against MGM salesman David Ross. The studio went into damage control mode by hiring the Pinkerton Detective Agency to dig up dirt on the actress. When they couldn't find any, the studio allegedly paid for statements from the other guests, saying Patricia was a promiscuous woman who had a sexually transmitted disease, and she was uncontrollably drunk at the party. At the time of the rape trial, no lawyers turned up, and the judge was forced to dismiss the case. Douglas's character was publicly destroyed, and her raper got away with it. Number 7. Jean Harlow was forced to marry her third husband. The original blind bombshell Jean Harlow had a tumultuous personal life. She married her first husband when she was only 15 years old and divorced a few years later. Her second husband was killed in a gunshot accident. There were even speculation that she was the one who killed him. When the studio found out that she was having an affair with a married boxer, they had to keep the scandal from going public by forcing her to marry cinematographer Harold Rawson. However, the marriage was only a show, and they quietly divorced a few months later when the scandal was forgotten. Number 8. Tallulah Bankhead had multiple abortions. The beautiful actress was as famous inside Hollywood for her sexual activity as she was for her beauty around the rest of the world. At one point, she was said to have 185 notches on her bedpost, and she hadn't finished counting. Knowing that the studios would not have tolerated a pregnancy out of wedlock, Bankhead had 4 abortions by age 30. But she wasn't the only one. The studio had established protocols for situations like this. They booked the actresses into hospitals under false names for vague procedures. They were attended only by their own doctors, and visitors were strictly prohibited. Actually, Bankhead was one of the few regular visitors to the hospital. Her promiscuity was legendary. She had multiple affairs with both men and women. She welcomed visitors to her house naked and even flashed an audience doing a pray, just to count a few. Even though she was very popular among men, no one wanted to marry her. She even accepted a man's proposal once just because he's the only one who ever asked me. Needless to say, the marriage didn't last. Bankhead is said to have regretted her abortions later in life, after having a hysterectomy performed to her due to contracting gonorrhea, which left her unable to have children.